can we go into 2017 with positive feelings when like this happens? Like, how do you deal with that?
Viewer discretion is advised for this educational documentary. Welcome back to Case Documentaries. If you didn't know, I post true crime, disturbing stories, and other things that you may later regret knowing. Psst. Join the Dark Case family in a circle over on Patreon. When you join, you will gain access to exclusive documentaries, a credit and thank you in every single Dark Case video, priority case suggestions, exclusive updates and a peek behind the scenes, and most exciting of all, you will gain access to the private Dark Case Discord server, which is kind of like a chat room for inner circle members only. Membership is just $5 per month. Cancel anytime. Thank you so much to all of my patrons. If your name is on screen right now, then you really are a legend. Let's get straight into today's Dark Case. We all grow up with aspirations, but most kids chop and change their goals throughout childhood and end up in a field that they never expected. If that wasn't the case, there'd be a lot more pirate ninjas and karate princesses in the world. Some of us aren't sure what to do with our lives until we talk through our options with a careers advisor. Others are pushed by a natural drive within them that gives them a clear-cut goal in their heads, with a path already carved out for them, as though it is their destiny set in stone. And that's how it was for Rachel Longridge. Rachel grew up with her younger brother Michael in their Sherbrooke home with mother Christine and father Erin. It was a loving family unit, and the siblings got along well. Rachel had always been inherently caring, thinking of others and lending a helping hand. These qualities, along with her infectious personality, made her quick to make friends and form strong bonds. She and her childhood best friend Marley were thick as thieves. The pair had been born just a week apart from one another in May of 1995, and they grew up celebrating joint birthday parties together. Rachel lived in Sherbrooke, and Marley lived in Dovercourt. The two of them would cheekily cut through neighbours' yards to see one another, even though they'd been told to walk around the trail that divided the two. They were truly inseparable. Marley would later share that their sleepovers had always resulted in bellyaches from so much laughter on her social media. Rachel's soccer coach, Sandra Hansen, said she liked to goof around a lot and she was a good player. And by all accounts, Rachel was kind, caring and incredibly popular. And this makes what happened next all the more difficult to digest. Rachel already knew that she wanted to become a nurse, but after her father Erin was diagnosed with cancer and the family spent time in and out of the hospital, she just knew that she had to pursue it. Rachel applied to the University of Alberta for nursing, and she started there after finishing high school. It was there that she met new friends Danielle Burke and Dakota Burgum, and they all hit it off instantly and became a real threesome. Rachel's struggles with her dad having cancer cemented her decision and really fueled her. She was driven to achieve her goals despite her home life becoming tough. During the many hours she spent training at Edmonton Clinic Health Academy, she really did make a huge impact on many lives. Rachel was clearly the type of person who could handle pretty much anything. Becoming a nurse is not easy, but that didn't matter because this dream was important. This was made evident by the fact that the tenacious nursing student attended her course the day after her father sadly lost his battle on December the 1st, a true show of strength and dedication. Rachel's hard work and tenacity in the face of such sad circumstances did pay off. On December the 8th, she graduated from her nursing program and was anxiously waiting to hear back about working in the intensive care unit of the Mazankowski Alberta Heart Institute. The formidable trio of study buddies celebrated finals with a trip up to Jasper immediately after, and even Marley, Rachel's childhood best friend, joined them for the fun. The four of them headed up the mountains to unwind after all of their hard work. It was on this journey to Jasper that Rachel finally received the news that she was waiting for. Her offer was confirmed and she was due to start work on January the 3rd. This put everyone into pure celebration mode. Her friends were thrilled for her, and it also meant that she and Dakota would now be working in the same building as one another. Rachel couldn't have been happier. All of her hard work had been worth it, and her dreams were now coming to fruition. After a few drinks and dinner, the girls ventured into the hotel hot tub in spite of the wind chill warnings and the late time of year. There they sat for hours enjoying themselves so much that they didn't even mind the chilling air until, that is, hotel staff finally shut them down, with their hair frozen stiff from frost. This truly was a night that the best friends would remember forever, but it was even more special than they knew at the time. In late December, the season of goodwill was in full swing, with everyone celebrating the festivities that come with a run-up to the new year. The year ahead looked to be promising, and with Rachel's dreams about to become a reality, there really was plenty to celebrate. The Longridge family planned a small party, one which Marley, among others, was planning to go to celebrate Christmas Eve with them. None of them could have imagined that they would instead be mourning a severe loss. The day before the family's planned celebrations, 18-year-old Michael Longridge, Rachel's younger brother, came home to a scene he was unprepared for. Not that anyone could ever be prepared for what he walked in on when he entered the Sherbrooke bungalow in Edmonton that he had always called home. Michael returned home that day on December the 23rd, 2018, to find his sister being terribly attacked. Like any other with a strong sibling bond, he rushed straight towards danger. He wanted to help his sister without a second thought about his own safety. A brave act, considering the attacker was hysterically wielding a meat cleaver and was attempting to remove his sister's head from her body. Michael rushed towards them and fought hard to hold the attacker's arms back, trying to prevent them from doing any further harm. His reactions were quick, adrenaline flooding his body, only he had arrived a few moments too late. With such severe injuries sustained, Rachel's time on this earth was ended before authorities arrived. Having witnessed the event firsthand, there was no doubt as to who was responsible. The terrifying and grisly scene that Michael had walked in on was likely made 1,000 times worse because the person wielding the cleaver was Christine, Rachel and Michael's own mother. The woman who had brought Rachel into the world had now taken her out of it, and in one of the most brutal ways possible. Police took the 50-year-old woman away in handcuffs after they were called with reports of an assault at around 4:30 p.m. Christine was taken into custody facing second-degree murder and possession of a weapon, but a psychiatric examination was immediately requested and an inquiry would soon follow. Christine had in fact been battling with her mental health for years. Many murderers are taken into custody displaying signs that they may be psychotic. Many require psychiatric assessments, and some even use mental illness as an excuse. And indeed, many offenders are not well, especially those whose crimes are of a particularly horrific nature. However, faking it evidently wasn't the case with Christine. The mother was diagnosed with schizoaffective disorder in the 90s, following a delirium she experienced shortly after the birth of her son. People suffering from schizoaffective disorders can hallucinate quite heavily, which when combined with heavy mood swings can be a recipe for disaster. I will say that people with schizoaffective disorders are more likely to be victims than perpetrators. I feel it's important to make that known. It seems that with her disorder, Michael's birth kick-started her first real psychotic episode, an episode in which she suffered from some grandiose delusions. She believed her beautiful son to be the Messiah and was hospitalized on more than one occasion. Although the delusions experience can be pretty strong, Schizoaffective disorders can normally be managed with medication, and in most cases, people can live a relatively normal life. And Christine's illness had been well managed. That is, up until her husband's death the year before. Husband Erin had in fact played a big role in his wife's mental health care, not to mention the fact that the death of a loved one would move almost anyone into the reach of depression's grip. For Christine, with her disorder, it had certainly become a notable catalyst, and she slid firmly into its grasp. Those in her life would share with police investigators that Christine's mental health had been declining in recent weeks. The mother had never been violent in any way, shape or form. The aggression that drove her while she took such extreme actions, and their tragic results, came as a shock to everyone around the family. Many defended Christine, stating she was a loving mother, saying everything about this situation was purely tragic. A vigil was organised on campus for the late graduate, with over 250 people showing up to remember Rachel. Whilst there, they shared their fondest memories.
Anytime that I ever felt down, Rachel was there to be like, no, you can do it. We studied together, we cried together, we laughed together. We did so many things together and we had so many plans, and it's just heartbreaking to think that me and Dakota and my sister have to go on without her, and because she was supposed to be there, she was supposed to be our person for the rest of our lives.
Among the crowd was a mix of friends, students, teachers, patients, and the families of those that she had treated. Everyone in attendance had something to say about how charismatic and caring the young woman truly was. Her closest friends made a point to defend the relationship between Rachel and Christine, making it clear that the event was simply a tragic and unpredictable one. The focus of the vigil was very much on keeping things positive and supporting Michael, whose mother was now in custody and whose sister had passed. Michael didn't attend the vigil, but Marley shared the following with everyone present. The main thing he wanted for tonight was to let everybody know that his mom loves him and loves Rachel, and wanted everyone to know this is nothing but a mental health issue. Danielle Burke would share that Christine's illness was understood by Rachel's closest friends, describing it as understood and accepted. She also shared how Rachel had taken on her mother's care after caring for her father in his final days. She had now done the same for her mother in her own final days. Michael has repeatedly made it clear that the blame does not sit at the door of his mother. However, we can look at mental health care as a whole. Many of those closest to the case would hold the lack of mental health care support that Christine received, despite her history of psychotic breaks, as the real guilty party in the catastrophe. Christine's decline was evident in medical records, as the mother wasn't keeping up to date with her psychiatric appointments. She was, in fact, meant to have seen her psychologist on the 21st, just 2 days before she ended her daughter's time on this earth. Mother Christine's court appearance came on January the 10th, 2016, 1 week after her daughter should have started her first proper hospital job. There, the failures of the system were brought to light. Police had been called on October the 30th that year after neighbours found Christine curled up on her deck, screaming in a paranoid state. Had police called a mental health crisis team, a tragedy may have been prevented. It was then heard that Christine's sister drove her to the local ER later that very same night, but the hospital refused admission. Christine was then found running around outside in the snow without shoes a few days later. She was convinced her house was going to explode. On November the 7th, she was finally hospitalized following an attempt on herself, but she was only kept in for a week. And despite the seriousness of her mental decline, her medications were changed and she was only prescribed half her usual lithium dosage. Perhaps something could have been done. We will truly never know. Her messiah delusion then crept back into the scenario. This was just days before the tragic event. She became convinced that Rachel had to die to save Michael, something she repeatedly told those around her. Judge Wayne Renke was choked up throughout sentencing. Christine was charged with second-degree murder, but she was not found criminally responsible and was instead sent to a secure psychiatric hospital. Judge Rinke said there was zero doubt that the woman knew what she was doing and that she intended to do it, but also ruled that delirium had taken over. When Christine attacked her daughter, she believed that she had the moral authority to kill. A GoFundMe page was set up by cousins to cover the funeral costs and to make sure that Michael had support. The case was viewed as an indictment of Alberta's mental health system, and subsequently, allegedly, steps were taken to improve it. Make sure you're subscribed and hit like if you appreciate what I'm doing here. I'd love to hear your thoughts and see your discussions about this case down in the comments. Be careful out there, and I'll see you soon.